Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. You know what we're about to do? We're back. Literally, as I was about to hit play, I happened to look up and see what happened with the Rust trial. So my goodness, in the morning, we got a lot to talk about. So we need to get at it. We need to get at it quick. Okay, so apparently, I was going to talk about why it was that Donald Trump had not been sentenced, and on the heels of the RNC in Milwaukee and such of that nature, then of course recap on YSL. I still want to do that, but apparently just like an hour ago, where was I? It seems like just an hour ago. Here, let me just bring it in. We just look at it together. I haven't looked at this. Wow, this is crazy. All right, well, everybody who was going to be I want you to block that. All right. I guess everybody who was, there we go. Wow. Judge dismisses Alec Baldwin involuntary manslaughter case in stunning victory for actor. Wow. I haven't been keeping up with it because it just started, a couple days ago? And I was going to, double back and talk about it on Sunday because I had planned to take time tomorrow while I was driving to go get President Firstborn from school to kind of re-up on it so I can know where everything was. Amazing. Rust star Alec Baldwin had faced up to 18 months if convicted. Santa Fe, New Mexico. A Santa Fe judge Friday dismissed the involuntary manslaughter charge. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Wow, this is amazing. I wonder, does this happen often? I don't think so, but let's go. Involuntary manslaughter case against Alec Baldwin for the fatal shooting of Hutchins on the set of Rust after ruling the prosecution concealed evidence from his legal team. Wow. This is craziness. Okay, let me move myself out of the way. Get Jason out of the way. This is crazy. I bet you Alec Baldwin is thanking God for this. Baldwin cupped his face in his hands and wept as Judge Mary Marlowe Summer dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning the charge cannot be brought against the actor again. That's the infamous double jeopardy. Wow. The state's willful withholding of this information was intentional and deliberate, Summer said. If this conduct does not rise to the level of bad faith, it certainly comes so near to bad faith as to show signs of scorching prejudice. Goodness. The judge added there is no way for the court to right this wrong. Oh my gosh. Wow. Shout out to New Mexico. And this is amazing. Okay. The third full day, I thought they started on Wednesday. The third full day of the trial on the first judicial district court opened with defense attorney Luke Neckes accusing the state of withholding evidence that prop distributor Seth Kinney was a source of the live ammunition. The move prompted Santa Fe Judge Mary Marlowe Summer to send the jury home so she could hold an 11th hour hearing, which led to the lead prosecutor, Carrie Morsi, calling herself as a witness. Wait, what? Oh my gosh, wait. The prosecutor called herself as a witness? I decided not to take any steps to collect the ammunition because it was in Arizona, had never come to New Mexico and didn't match the live rounds on the set of Rust, Morsi testified. The defense team argued investigators and prosecutors concealed evidence related to the source of the ammunition linked to the accidental shooting and death of the cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the film Rust in 2021. Double check real quick. Today is gone wild. I'm telling you. All right. I thought something was going to happen on Friday, but I didn't think it was going to be this. I just knew this case was going to go all the way to the end. All right. Armorer Hannah Gutierrez Reed was convicted of loading a live round into a revolver, which Baldwin fired, killing Hutchins and wounding director Joel Souza. Sorry about that. During her trial on March 6th, retired police officer Troy Tesk, a family friend of Gutierrez Reed's father, walked into the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office and delivered a collection of rounds to crime scene technician Marissa Papapel. He said the rounds came from Kinney and matched the bullet that killed Hutchins. Family friend Gutierrez. That's weird. Man, this is craziness. Yo, this is wild. Papel admitted Friday that at the hearing that she didn't inventory the evidence from Tesk under the Rusk case, but instead under the different case number. The defense also didn't receive a supplemental report on the new evidence. You just let somebody walk in and give you evidence and say this is from, like, there's no chain of custody. You just say, oh, this is from this shooting or this event. That sounds crazy already. All right. Santa Fe County Sheriff's Corporal Alexandria Hancock, the lead investigator on the case, admitted that the decision was made in consultation with prosecutors and her supervisors. There they go again. So you all had discussions about what to do with what he dropped off? Asked Judge Marlo Summer. Yes, she replied. And you all agreed to put it in a separate file, the judge pressed? Yes, she answered. The evidence was also not stored with the other evidence in the case, she said. Oh, that's a mess. Defense attorneys appear to have learned about this ammunition Tesk turned over from body camera footage that captured Tesk walking into the sheriff's office and telling Papel that he had critical evidence and offered to give a statement. You just let somebody walk in and give you evidence? How do you know it's where it came from? That's wild. Morrissey told the court earlier in the day that the first time she saw the supplemental report, which was allegedly withheld from the defense, was that morning. The stunning blow to the prosecution team, which had been working on the case for more than 3 years, arrived after the state had called only 7 witnesses. Amazing. Wow. All right. Shout out to a judge making the right decision. That is crazy. Okay. Let me pull it back up. Hold on one second. So they didn't report who gave them who put the live round in the gun, the prop gun. But the walking in with evidence just seems really weird. But I guess that makes sense, man. That is wild. Shout out to a judge making the right decision. That's crazy. Wow. What do y'all think? Let's see what we get in the comments section. Y'all, real quick. I appreciate y'all. Looks like about 18 of y'all have stopped by already. I appreciate you being a part of the best live chat on the planet. You know the rules of engagement. In order to be a part of this motley crew, this cast of thousands, make sure you hit the like button. I appreciate it. Real quick, what we got in the building? We got watchers in the building. Always good to see Transplanted Texan in the house. Tying your shoes up, lacing up your shoes. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Paula's here, said, wow, the prosecutors are corrupt in Santa Fe too? I mean, last night when we were talking with infamous Sylvia, by the way, that discussion was fantastic. I really do appreciate infamous Sylvia for stopping by. I didn't expect to have that much fun. We had a great time. But she mentioned it, and I've heard other attorneys say it as well. This idea that I've got to win at any cost by any means necessary, that's kind of foreign to the legal field. It's just kind of seeped in, so to speak. It wasn't how they were supposed to start out. And it's sad to see because it seems like at this point now you're just cutting corners, you doing whatever you want to do in order to win. It's here in New Mexico, a blue state. They let everyone off. Oh, okay. Thank you, Polly Nord. Thank you so much for that. I see Costa Chameleon in the building, but make sure before you do that, make sure you do as Transplant Texas says, smash that like button. Was watching AV. I don't understand what's going on. Don't worry about it. There's some days I don't understand either, Caustic. I do not understand what's going on. Gap girl in the building. Hope Brian Steele is watching. I mean, Brian Steele is going to, man, he is. We're going to go over that in a second. We're going to talk about that as well. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, Gap girl, for stopping by as well. All right. So this is craziness, man. This is bananas. I mean, I thought we were going to just talk about a simple, Donald Trump, talk about YSL, laugh and tell some jokes. And literally, as I was getting ready to go live, I saw this article and I said, we got to talk about it. But let's talk about it because this week coming up is the RNC, the Republican National Convention, and it's going to be in Milwaukee. And I think it's going to be interesting to watch this year. And maybe we'll do like a little highlight reel every night or something of that nature. But I do think it might be interesting to watch, even if you're not deeply rooted in politics or you're kind of following it from afar. But let me just real quick, because you do realize that yesterday, Trump was supposed to be sentenced in New York. Why didn't he get sentenced? Well, that's a great question. Trump's sentencing in hush money case is postponed until September after the Supreme Court immunity ruling. I'm sorry. I've said this before, and I got to find a clip, but I think I said he is never going to be sentenced. And I don't think he's going to get sentenced. I think the whole game was to have Donald Trump be labeled as a convicted felon. That was all it was. That was it. He got convicted felon in his title and his moniker, whatever like that. But we're going to just watch this real quick. We're not going to read through the whole article. We'll just watch this real quick and just kind of understand what is the lay of the land and hear what y'all think. Let's go.
Overturned that conviction. You're not representing him in that case, but and Trump's legal team trying to overturn that conviction. You're not representing him in that case, but you were there in the courtroom for parts of that trial as it was going on. Does anything in the New York case pass the test in your view that the Supreme Court established today in this ruling?
Yeah, absolutely, Caitlin. The Supreme Court was very clear that for acts that fall within the outer perimeter of the president's official responsibilities, acts that are presumptively immune from prosecution, that evidence of those acts cannot be used to try essentially private acts. So what we have in New York is a situation where a substantial number of official acts of the presidency, things that we believe are official acts, were used as evidence to support the charges in that New York trial. We believe that corrupts that trial, that indicates that jury verdict needs to be overturned, and at the very least, we deserve a new trial where those immune acts will not come into evidence as the Supreme Court dictated today.
Which acts are you arguing that were presented in the trial are official acts?
So one example would be communications made through official White House communications channels. Those would be things that we believe, based on the Supreme Court's opinion today, fall neatly within the outer perimeter of a president's official responsibilities and duties. So certainly with respect to those sorts of official communications from the White House that were entered into evidence in that New York trial, that would be the sort of thing that would run afoul of the Supreme Court's opinion today.
So like testimony from Hope Hicks, or what exactly do you mean?
No, I mean, there were, for example, tweets from President Trump's official Twitter account that were entered into evidence at trial. President Trump's Twitter account has been held by numerous courts to be, during his time as president, to be an official communications instrumentality of the White House. So those sorts of things would be official acts under the Supreme Court's ruling today, and therefore they were not admissible as evidence in that New York trial.
Wow. I don't know what this is. Wow. Okay.
We're in the battleground state of Georgia for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Black Democratic voters. Our first stop, the Black-owned Atlanta's Breakfast Club.
Okay, I got off text. I'm sorry. The Breakfast Club actually has some pretty good food, by the way, just in case y'all are wondering. Okay, so I'm understanding that. So now the Supreme Court is kicking this can down the road to September. For the life of me, I don't understand what is the delay. Because we are in July right now, the middle of July. We got all of September, August, all of September. We are going to be, we'll be casting votes. Was that most early voting starts the middle of October, So early voting is going to be right on the heels. So they're still not going to, that case is never going to come back. I'm sorry. It's never going to come back. I can't see how any other way that's going to come back. But I think, this is going to be super interesting. I want to hear what y'all saying about this, because I would love to hear, how do you all square this? Do you think this case is do you think he's going to get sentenced, or do you think it's just going to fade away? Because a lot of y'all have kind of forgotten about the whole election interference case, because this has gone radio silent. I have found a little bit more information about it, but it's not much new stuff. So that's gone radio silent. And if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to make some kind of ruling on that, about Fani and her office being recused from that, disqualified from that real soon. And it's just radio silent. What was the purpose of this? All right. Good to see you, Grace Rodriguez. Good to see you. Thank you so very much for stopping by on this evening. All right, let's see what we got. Everybody else, I think I've said what's up to them. But what do y'all think about this? Congress had a meeting about the New York case earlier today. They had expert witnesses talking about why New York case was lawfare. I mean, I do think it was lawfare. I don't think it was anything else but that. All right, let me see what else. Who heard Elvis? What are y'all talking about? What did y'all say about Elvis? Yes, I just think this is going to be so interesting. I'm waiting to see how it all shakes out, what'll be the final result. But man, it is getting pretty wild out here in these streets. So we still got, I need to probably look at the big boy conference or big boy press conference yesterday. Yo, can somebody please, tell the White House, branding, the way that people see your product means a lot. The way I see Adidas means a lot to me, and the way Adidas presents itself to me means a lot for me, whether or not I'm going to buy another pair, or whether or not I'm going to buy a new pair, or whatever like that. So the way I see the product, the way you present it to me rather, means a lot. And going around calling a grown man, saying he's having a big boy conference or big boy press conference, that was so weird and such an odd, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could have presented it, but to say that it's a big boy as if he's a child, that was so weird. And we're already talking about somebody that many people question his mental capacity. Many people already question his frailty and so on and so forth. You treat people that you know are elder, you treat them like that with kid gloves, or children, you treat them with kid gloves like that. And you say things like big boy and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes the way you treat a child and the way you treat an elder, a very frail elder, sometimes kind of cross over and such like that. But why would you call it a big boy? That just was so, as kids would like to say, cringe. That was such an inappropriate way to present your person, your product out there to the world. Because then how are we supposed to take this when we're looking at, again, an 80-plus-year-old man and you're talking about big boy? That just seems that was so horrible. And apparently the press conference wasn't that good, because that's where he misspoke and called Vice President Trump and the president of Ukraine, what do you call him? President Putin. Like, come on, man. But you want us to take him seriously, man. I'm trying to be gracious, but y'all making it so easy to dunk on this. It is insane. But I just wanted to that was just a little sidebar. I don't even have a slide for that one. I realized that I'm like, y'all did that on purpose? Somebody greenlighted that? My goodness, in the morning, it's terrible. I hope y'all learned a lesson though, because y'all stuck with that dude. But I want to talk about what's going on in this YSL case. Man, this case is crazy. Shout out to We Watch YouTube, who is a fantastic supporter of this channel. We Watch YouTube has done all of my As the Peach Turns or As the Peach Rots videos. So even though this one is primarily focused on the disqualification, I still think it plays a good role. So let's go ahead and do this. You know what we're about to do.
As the peach rots. In this suspenseful fourth season, we marinate the feeder of Georgia's political elite in the tangy vinegar of accountability. In a state where the odor of mendacity toxifies the air, our perspicacious team of chatroom investigators is on a mission to peel back the layers of deceit and uncover the truth. From backroom deals to embezzlement scandals, no stone is left unturned in our pursuit of justice. But as tensions rise and alliances shift, who can be trusted in the peach state? Join us for a season ripe with virality, where even the fruit isn't safe from corruption, because sometimes the juiciest scandals are right under your nose.
Thanks so much for that. We watch YouTube. I appreciate you. So most of you have been keeping up with following the Young Thug, Young Slime Life YSL trial, and it has been nothing short of fireworks. I've talked to legal professionals and I've heard legal professionals, and I knew it. I just knew it. I knew this case was going to become something that people looked at in years to come. And I've heard countless people say they will be studying this case in the future because it is there's so many layers to it, so many levels to it. As my brother likes to say, my brother says, there's levels to this thing. There's levels to this case. And I don't think I'm being hyperbole. I think this Young Thug case is the O.J. Simpson trial of this era. This generation's O.J. Simpson trial is the Young Thug case. Because I remember where I was when O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. I remember that. I remember that pretty clearly. And I feel like this is going to be the exact same thing, but it's being played out far. I mean, if O.J. Simpson was happening now, it would be the Young Thug case. I mean, we would be tweeting it and memeing it and commenting on YouTube and all of this stuff. But this is the social media version of the O.J. Simpson trial. So our children will be able to say, yeah, I know where I was when this happened in the Young Thug case, because here's a video of it, or here I was on Instagram. Like, that's how crazy this case is. So we've been talking a lot about it, and here on this channel, I admit that I am learning a lot of this as we go. So this is not like when I was a classroom teacher, you had a mastery of the material and you're sharing it with your students. I'm learning as we're going. We're building as we're flying, as people like to say. So I try to find as many examples, as many smart people, as many intelligent people as possible that I can bring into this discussion so we all can learn. So that's why I had Infamous Sylvia, shout out to Infamous Sylvia, who was on the show yesterday, had a fantastic discussion with her. I have a couple more planned. As soon as I know they're locked in and we got the links and everything, I'll let y'all know about that as well. But I'm hoping that next week we'll have some more smart people to come on and talk about their experiences and especially what they're understanding about this case. So one of the other outlets I like to use is our local news. Shout out to Atlanta News First. I am totally blown away by this news outlet because they're relatively new in the Atlanta space because they're primarily just online. They're not like a television. Like Lady Dear Woke Christian is watching the regular news in the living room. But this is basically online. And they have some fantastic anchors, fantastic programming. Shout out to Atlanta News First. I'm really enjoying them. So I found two. They have what they call a podcast, which didn't look like a podcast, looked like a newscast, and then an actual newscast where they kind of go over the Young Thug case. So if you've not been keeping up with the Young Thug case and you see these memes, you're like, well, who's Woody and what is this joke about? I don't get this. Who is this, King Slime or whatever like that? Hopefully these two clips that we're going to play will help bring everything into bring you up to speed, because who knows what next week is going to bring. Okay. And they're going to go over all of the nuances of what's going on in the Young Thug case and so on and so forth. So I want to bring these in. We're going to just talk about them. What you think about it. And I saw a great question that I'm going to comment on the back end of this. Grace, I see it, and I'm going to comment on the back end. Thank you, love. So let's go ahead and bring this in. I want to hear what y'all think about it. So if you're not caught up to speed or you feel like you're not up to speed on the Young Thug case here in Atlanta, hopefully these two articles will help bring you up to speed. No, I feel comfortable. They will bring you up to speed, especially on what happened this past week. Because this past week was Firework Central. So let's go.
The nation's most watched criminal trial has been out of session for 2 weeks now, and yet it is still commanding the attention of fans of the central figure in the trial, Jeffrey Williams, also known as Young Thug. And this is our latest podcast updating the trial of Young Thug happening here in Atlanta. I'm Tim Darnell. We've been following the trial digitally online, and Rachel Aragon has done such an outstanding job following the trial with her boots on the ground, if you will, at the Fulton County Courthouse. Our podcast today is produced by Marissa Ware. Rachel, as I said, we have not had jury testimony for 2 weeks now, and yet there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes maneuverings offering just an unparalleled, unprecedented insight, behind-the-scenes look at not only the nation's most sensational trial, but also behind-the-scenes look of the nation's judicial system. Tell us.
Okay, I want to stop real quick because actually they haven't been in, the jurors haven't been in the box for almost a month. This whole shenanigans started on June 10th. All of this started on June 10th. So, I mean, it's been almost a month. I feel comfortable in saying it's been a month. So 2 weeks is definitely undercutting it. It's been far more than that. But even more than that, he does talk about it shines a light on the judicial system, which I do think we need to have an honest discussion about. This is really a blight on our judicial system because we are watching, dare I say, 3 individuals, 3 legal professionals who are doing things that are grossly out of pocket, grossly out of shape for the intensity of this case, the seriousness of it. This is not just some, junior league bake sale. Like, this is a serious issue. If in fact these men are guilty of that, then play by the rules properly. And it's just amazing. So let's keep this going. Let's go.
What's happened over the last week or so?
Yeah, despite this trial being paused indefinitely, it's really been one of the busiest weeks behind the scenes, if you will. And one big thing we saw this week as this whole thing with Judge Glanville really plays out was this explosive motion filed by Brian Steele, the lead attorney for Young Thug, also known as Jeffrey Williams. This is about 200 pages or so. And just to remind folks again, the trial is on pause right now until a separate judge, we know that judge as of now is Judge Rachel Krause, decides whether or not Judge Glanville should stay on this case for a trial, Tim, as you know, that has been going on for 7 months. But again, that explosive motion filed by Young Thug's lead attorney touches on many things. But one thing I want to stress that he mentioned in that motion was he wants that Rachel Krause to be removed from deciding. The reason being, though, like other defense attorneys, they don't want a Fulton County Superior Court judge deciding whether a fellow Fulton County Superior Court judge will or will not stay on this case.
Okay, this is why I like Atlanta News First. And I have to take my hat off to Atlanta News First. Notice what she said. She said Brian Steele wants Judge Krause removed because they don't want another Fulton County judge to oversee another Fulton County judge and basically her boss, right? If you follow any other news outlet, any other one, they say that Brian Steele wants her removed because Judge Glanville donated $2,000 to her election campaign, which again, I don't see any problem with that. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But she actually said what the real issue was, is that Judge Krause works with Judge Glanville. Donations be set aside. This is her boss almost. This would be like ADA Love calling out Fonnie Willis. I mean, this is a big deal. And he's saying that the whole building would have that same problem. So I want to give them kudos because I haven't heard many people say that. Most people get stuck in the weeds about the $2,000 and so on and so forth. And it's whatever about the $2,000. I think really what needs to be looked at is the fact that this woman works with this man. There's not many ways you can slice and dice that, like, oh yeah, I got you recused. I'm going to meet you over at the water cooler. You might shake me. I mean, for real. Like, let's be honest. You might sick the dog on me. Let's tell the truth, shame the devil. Let's go.
Now, also in that very same motion, before we move on to the latest development in the trial or behind the scenes in the trial, Brian Steele, yet another attempt to get his client, Young Thug, free on bond. Am I correct?
Absolutely. He verbally said that really before, but he's also said it in that motion you just referenced, Tim. And also, just last week, we told viewers as well, we've heard from other YSL defense attorneys who said the same thing to me, that they want to see their clients released as well. Because remind folks, many of these clients, including Young Thug, have been held in custody for about 2 years or if not more. So their point that they're trying to make, from my understanding, is, look, we're in limbo right now. This can go on for months, if not another year plus. It is not fair, they're saying, for their client who's been charged but not convicted to remain behind bars as all this saga and drama plays out because of other reasons.
So the first motion we heard about this week came from Brian Steele and other attorneys requesting that Rachel Krause be recused from determining whether Judge Uriel Glanville, who's been overseeing the trial, will be removed. Now, late Wednesday night, we also heard the responses from Fulton County prosecutors on defense motions calling for Uriel Glanville's removal, or recusal, I should say. What's that about?
Yeah, we just got a look at that yesterday evening, and reminding folks again, the state had about a 2-day extension to reply to these recusal motions. No surprise, Tim, and for anyone else out there, they were asking Judge Rachel Krause to deny those motions for Glanville to be recused. They also said and summarized at the very end, rather short response indeed, they feel, and we've heard them before say this, there was nothing wrong, in their opinion, with that meeting that they called. And reminding people again, that meeting was between prosecutors, Judge Glanville, and prosecutors' key witness, Kenneth Copeland, a.k.a. Little Woody. But in short, they summarize, the state says defense, they feel, had no right to really be in that meeting. So in their eyes, and in that motion response, they say Glanville should stay on the case.
Let's look at...
Okay, I like this back and forth. This man asked some really interesting questions, and you're going to hear him in a second. I just want to point out something that I don't think it should be overlooked. Like, you, as somebody who's being charged with a crime, they're basically forcing said persons to stay in jail rather than be bonded out, rather than be able to go home, rather than be able to live a quasi normal life. But they're in jail, and they've been in jail for almost 2 years. So don't let that slip by. Like, and I'm sure you've heard the horror stories of Fulton County Jail. Even though some of these men are not staying in Fulton County Jail, they're staying in other county jails. But don't let that slip by you. Like, would you want to be in jail what looks like indefinitely? Because we're just watching this armchair quarterbacking, armchair legal analysts and pre-K law students. But these men are literally in jail. And dare I say, a very sketchy jail. It's not a marquee jail at all by any means or measures. So that is sad to think about. And like, hey, we don't know when this case is going to come to fruition. We don't know. It could be 2 years. It could be another 3 years. It could be next week. They just throw it out the window. So that's just something to think about. Because, and not to turn this into something else, but sure. And I've said this before on my channel, sure, I don't think these gentlemen look like gentlemen you'd probably want to pick up your daughter. Got you. You don't want to meet them in an alley. Got you. But you know what? They're innocent until proven guilty. So looks set aside. I'm not a very big fan of dreadlocks. I think you all realize that. So I believe in the chin crown, not the head crown. So but you know what? These men deserve justice just like I would, just like this man on screen would, just like this woman on screen would. And I think we have to, even if we don't like it, or even if we might possibly think that they might have did it, at the current moment, the state has not proven that. So these men are innocent. Would we want innocent men locked up in jail, basically indefinitely? Because the only fumbles are because of the state, which is also holds the keys to them being set free. That's craziness. Let's go.
This from both sides, looking at defense attorneys, why do you think it would be in the best interests of defense attorneys to have Judge Uriel Glanville recused?
Well, Brian Steele has said time and time again, and even in the motion that he filed, he believes that the Judge Glanville has continuously favored the prosecution. I think in his eyes, and maybe even others too, the biggest thing that comes to mind, we saw this play out loud and clear, was him being held in contempt. Now, I can't weigh in whether or not he's favoring the prosecution at that time, but that was something the eyes of the public and, of course, people in the courtroom will not forget, right? And I think he points to that example, but I think he even goes further too throughout the trial, pointing out that he's favoring the prosecution. And of course, the obvious other example, I believe, in his eyes, is a so-called ex parte or secret meeting that was held, not only without them present, but they also...
Okay, only slight I have for Atlanta News First, and I don't know, maybe, and please, if you are involved in journalism or you're much more read up than I am, please let me know. Why do they keep sounding like this didn't happen, the so-called ex parte meeting? It happened. It really did happen. Glanville, Love, and Hyatt, everybody confessed that it happened. Bumpus and Woody, we got the transcripts. We know it happened. I don't so-called dinner. Like, no, I actually had dinner before I had the live. So I'm not going to say so-called dinner or what's called dinner. No, I had a meal. Why do they do that? That's the only part I really want to push back on. Like, why do y'all do that? It's so strange. Okay, let's go.
Say without them being notified. And that was their whole point too, is that not only was this meeting held and they were left out, they were left in the dark. Right. So I think he points to those examples. I think other attorneys as well would say these are examples why they think that the judge might be favoring the prosecution.
So on the other side, we now know that Fulton County prosecutors are arguing that Judge Glanville should remain on the trial. Why are they making this argument?
You know, it's already been this long, and they know, and I think everyone knows, if he is, in fact, kicked off or removed, we are in unknown territory. And one of those options may or may not be a mistrial, or it could just restart the clock again. And what prosecutor or anyone wants to go back to a jury selection of 11 months or so, right? So I think that point alone is scary. It's not a good look. So there is so much that could happen if, in fact, he is kicked off rather than just keep on trudging along. So I think just practically and logistically, it makes sense to keep the judge we had and continue going forward. But like we said before, even if that does happen and Glanville stays on the bench, a reminder, they have about 100 or so more witnesses to call. So it doesn't mean that if Glanville stays on the bench, this trial will be over anytime soon.
Okay, I want to just stop there. It has already been, everybody says, right-leaning, left-leaning, anti-rap, love rap, everybody says that this is going to get turned over on appeal. So whether or not it goes the full length or they stop right now, it really doesn't matter. This is going to be turned over. So prayerfully, Judge Cross will do the right thing and not kick it down the road, but just say, no, remove Glanville and remove the Fulton County DA's office from it because of the prosecutorial misconduct, and just call it a wrap. And I hate it because if the men did in fact do this crime, they should be tried. However, if you can't do this without all the shenanigans and hijinks and all of this tomfoolery, then you don't deserve to actually bring justice, because you're not going to bring justice. You're bringing repute on the office. You're bringing a blight, if you will, even onto the face of what you think you're doing the right thing. So in my opinion, there's no reason for it. But let's keep going because we're almost finished.
Do we have any kind of a timeline? Do we have any idea of when Judge Rachel Krause will determine the fate of Judge Glanville and whether or not he will remain on the bench for this trial?
Right now, we have no timeline, and there is no set hearing date as of right now. I do know there is a sense of urgency among everyone to get this moving along and not drag their feet, because it's not just the defendants who are in limbo, it's also the jurors, right, who have been out of the courtroom for weeks now. And they were told, I believe, this trial may go maybe 4, 6, 7, 8 months, but now we are well past that if you count jury selection and how far this trial could go. So in short, Tim, no, there is no exact timeline, but I think everyone is going to probably try their best to move this along.
Yeah, so I don't see it going anywhere but to mistrial. It is going to mistrial USA. There's no other way around it, because you have a judge who's made gross, problematic errors. You have a prosecution that has participated in gross problematic errors. And you got jurors that there's no way in the world they're not tainted. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me that those jurors are not aware of what's going on in this trial right now. So those three factors, in my opinion, guarantee that this thing's a wrap. It's over. Now, again, I hate it if these men did in fact do the crime. It is sad that you could not run a better prosecution without all these shenanigans and hijinks. And I don't think anybody's thought about this, but this is Fonnie Willis's DA office. This is yet another blight on that DA's office, because then we still got the disqualification in the Trump interference case still in the back burner, wherever you want to call it. It's going to be a mess. It's a mess. So prayerfully, again, Judge Cross will make what I believe to be the right decision and disqualify Glanville and kick Fonnie Willis's department off and just go ahead and declare a mistrial. I mean, there's no other way around it, because it's going to come back on appeal. So why waste all this money? Why waste all these resources and time whenever it's over, it's going straight to appeal and it's going to get turned over. Just my little 2 cents. But I want to thank you, Terry, for gifting 5 memberships. Let me find that real quick. And I do apologize. I wasn't going to stop in the middle and do that, but I want to say thank you so much for Terry shouting us out, blessing the team with some memberships. Thank you very much for that. It's in here somewhere. I see it. I just don't see it. Oh, there it is right there. All right. Thank you so much, Terry Adams. Appreciate you. If you did get a gifted membership from Terry, y'all know what we like to do. We want to go ahead and say thank you, Terry. And as Judge Glanville said, the names must be named. Go and put the name on there. Thank you so much, Terry, for that. I appreciate you. And then thank you also, Mandy. Love you too, sister. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support and the great content that you're putting out over there. If the moderators could please put Miss Mandy Reacts channel up, that would be great. Link up, please forgive me. That would be great. Okay, so there was a question that came up, and I found it. I want to just real quick. Okay, so Grace Gutierrez says, DWC, what did you think when you heard the verdict on O.J. Simpson? Just wondering. Okay, when cause I was a wee lad back then, okay? I was just still in college, man. I was still in school. I thought that justice had been served because they were not able to prove that O.J. Simpson had done what pretty much everybody thought he had done, but they weren't able to prove it. And I thought that justice had been served. And I was like, yes, this is a great thing. In retrospect, I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like justice, I understand, because a lot of fame, a lot of notoriety came out of that trial and literally brought us several people that we know now because of that trial. That be set aside, I don't know if I agree with the outcome. So I disagree with Jason of that day. All right. Another thing, Jennifer said, no idea why they tried that. She's talking about the Alec Baldwin Rust trial. He had no way of knowing that the gun was going to do that. People need to start demanding our justice system clean up because people just wanted to use our system to play games. I can't disagree. I can't. Again, not an Alec Baldwin fan by any means or measures, but it didn't seem like that case had a lot of legs, especially since they had already arrested, tried and convicted the armorer who was responsible for doing those things that you just said. And Jennifer, I just didn't understand where they were going with that. Like, what was the purpose of that? Why were you doing that to him? And again, I'm not a fan of Alec Baldwin, but I just didn't think, even if I'm not your fan, even if I'm not, a supporter of you, I want you to be given justice, just like I want Young Thug to get justice. Again, maybe they did it, maybe they didn't. I don't know that, but guess what? The way that the prosecution ran this trial, we probably never will find out. And then what does Blue Sky says? What do you think that turned the trial for the worst? Okay. I've talked to several people about this. This is an excellent question, Blue Skies. And I've asked several people. There's some people say it was garbage from the word go, from when they arrested Young Thug. I don't know all of that because I have to admit I wasn't following from the moment he got arrested till yesterday. I wasn't doing that. But I will say unequivocally, the time that really made my antennas go up was the incident where the judge was reprimanding Brian Steele from the bench, and Brian Steele was yelling at him. I have to find it, but it was because ADA Love had done something, and Judge Glanville had was yelling at Brian Steele that Brian Steele was unprofessional and unprepared. That was the moment, because of course, you want a very professional and you want a very prepared lawyer. But many people don't think about it, but teachers are falling in that same realm as well. You want a teacher that operates professionally, or at least it holds him or herself to a decorum that can be seen as professional. And unequivocally, you need your teacher, your child's teacher, to be prepared. So when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I can kind of understand that, because you as a teacher, me as a former classroom teacher, you don't want to be called unprepared. You don't want to be called unprofessional. Okay, whether it be, there's a little bit of room there because you're dealing with children, so you can do things with children, playing games and running around on the football field and stuff like that, that you would not be called unprofessional. But then there's other things that you need to be professional inside. When I heard Judge Glanville say that about Brian, that's when I was like, something's wrong here. And that's actually what cued me off to this trial. So to answer your question, for me, it was when Judge Glanville was chastising Brian Steele and called him unprofessional and unprepared. Because again, as a former classroom teacher, you don't want that. You do not want somebody calling you unprofessional, and you don't want them to call you unprepared in front of your client. Because remember, this was in open court. This was in front of all of us. I think the jury was still there. I mean, it's literally in front of everybody that could make a decision. He called him unprofessional, unprepared. That was a bad look. So just like you wouldn't want, I wouldn't have wanted rather, to have a conference with a parent and have my principal come in and say that I'm unprepared and I'm unprofessional. That would have been horrible. So it's very much akin to that. So that would answer your question. And again, Terry, thank you very much for gifting the 5 memberships to DWC. I appreciate you for blessing 5 people. Please make sure you say thank you to Terry. Thank you so much. And then we got the BLVCK law student. Thank you so very much for the super sticker. I appreciate you, friend. Grace and peace. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I think this is my first time running across you, so hopefully we have an opportunity to hear more about who you are and what you are up to, as you're a law student. And I'm a pre-K law student. That means I've only watched Suits and a lot of Law and Order Special Victims, okay? So don't hold anything against me. If I say something wrong, blame it on producer Jason. Let's see. I appreciate it. What's going on, dear Nurse Life in the building? Good to see you. Good to see you, Golden Pearl. Good to see y'all. And welcome to the memberships. Appreciate it. Trying a 9+-year-old crime is ridiculous. Yeah. And Brian Steele made it so clear. Like their due process is just being trampled. Did he say obliterated at one point? I can't see any way around it. Like this has gone well into extra innings, way into extra innings. Okay, now, so law student says, and I do want to get to the second part. I don't think ex partes are wrong by as well, but given the nature of the conversation, this ex parte started out wrong. It's not like you're going to say, hey, we're going to talk about rescheduling or we need to move some people around. This started off with nefarious purposes from the word go. So if you were just having and again, I would love to make sure, and if I'm wrong, I'm willing to be wrong. The only thing is this ex parte, like the general ex partes are not necessarily wrong. However, you're not supposed to have one without conferring with and letting the other parties know. But this one actually started out wrong. So it wasn't even like it had any kind of anything good about it to start with, in my opinion. But I would love to hear, again, I'm looking, that's why I keep asking other legal minds to come in, because I recognize and realize that I am not in that space. I just find this extremely interesting, and I want to get more information and hopefully get more information out so we can all, because it's captivated society. I mean, you literally can ask somebody, the most random person, and they've heard something about this, whether they know the depth of it or they know how the breadth of it, but they've heard something, whether it be they heard about Woody, they heard about Kayla, they heard about Brian Steele, Young Thug. They've heard some aspect of it. So that's the only reason I want to just, if possible, hopefully bring some clarity, at least give you some more resources that we can get a little bit more from it. All right, what do we have here? I'm her. Well, good to have you. What does she say here? The DA flipped this case on its head with too many acts and too many witnesses. I think I'm not even being funny. I really have heard that there's 300 witnesses. I really have heard there's 300. So, and that's just on the prosecution side. That's not the defense side. There's a lot of witnesses, a lot of them. So I've heard that. I've heard as few as 150, as many as 300. That's a lot of witnesses. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I really think it's more leaning toward that 300. But again, it is what it is. The way people see your branding is everything. Perception is reality with branding. And that's what I was saying. Like that big boy Project Band shirt, shout out to you. Was it the big boy press conference? You talking about a grown man. Like, what are you talking about? You can still brand that differently. But matter of fact, I've never heard anybody, there's a montage on YouTube of how many times they said big boy press conference. It was pretty wild. I'm like, the press secretary was talking about it. It was kind of wild that you were talking about that much. Like, what are you trying to do? What is your branding effort? What do you want us to think about this when you say a grown man, not just a grown man, please forgive me, the leader of the United States, the leader of the free world is going to have a big boy press conference? What in the world is that? So I don't know what they were even trying to do. I didn't even get the point. Like, where are you going with this? So it was just weird. And yeah. Yo, thank you again, law student. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man, for the super sticker. Thank you. All right, so I'm her says, Mr. Steele has stated throughout his motion he will be appealing his decision. That's what I'm saying. Like, you already know this is, no matter what Glanville says, no matter what the jury says, it's going to appeal. I mean, short of them just saying that they throw it out, but it's going to appeal. There's no good reason to continue this. I think it's just a money waste. Yeah, I think it's just a money waste, in my opinion. Okay, so let's get this over. I do want to jump over here. Okay, law student. See, law student. Yeah, I don't know, law student. You might need to email me. We might need to have a little conversation, law student. Shout out. I personally think Woody should stop getting in front of a camera, personally. I've said this before. I think he probably should stop. That's just my little 2 cents. Yeah. Okay. That was, because you're right there in my notes, actually, law student. Okay. So shout out again to Atlanta News First. I think they do an excellent job. So here we have one of their newscasters who's been reporting on this case. She's actually interviewing an attorney here in Georgia to talk about this. And he's been on the show several times before. And I think I've actually I think I've actually used one of his clips before because he does seem to have a pretty deep legal mind and he's clear. I think that's the thing I really like about some of these lawyers is they make things very plain and very, they put the cookies on the shelf that everybody can reach them, right? Okay. And I do want to tell a joke about the writing aspect. If you follow Cadillac Law, she had a funny live stream today going over Brian Steele's motions and ADA Love's reply to it. And she spent 20 minutes talking about the font. Because when I was reading over it, I said something was wrong with the font. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't understand it. So I think her name is Lauren Cadillac, and it's called Cadillac Law. And she went over and she talked so much about that font. She had me in literal tears because I was like, I knew something was wrong with this font. And she explains why it was wrong for ADA Love to use the font that she used. Now, I will tell you this up front. Cadillac uses some spicy language, so I'm not condoning her language by any means or measures. I am just pointing out that I knew something was wrong with that font. I didn't know what it was. And she broke it down pretty well. So back to the point that we were having. Let's go look at Atlanta news first. This is a great segment that kind of breaks it down. If you haven't been following the case, they're going to bring you up to speed. Let's go.
Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Livnakron, joined today by attorney Jamara Edward Shipp. Thanks so much for being with us, Mr. Shipp.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so, what we've been following very closely is what I think so much of our audience has been following closely, the latest in the YSL trial, which many people say is kind of now in limbo. A lot of other adjectives being used for what's been going on in this trial. But just kind of getting our viewers up to speed a little bit here, because it is hard to keep track of. So that's Judge Earl Glanville. And, we reported to you, and that's Jeffrey Williams with his attorney, Brian Steele. And we reported to our viewers throughout, as these new developments were happening, that Mr. Steele and his team basically filed a motion. They want Judge Earl Glanville to recuse himself from the case for a variety of reasons. That's a whole tangent we're going to get into. But now the newest thing is they now want the judge who's deciding whether Mr. Glanville should get off the case. They want that judge, her name is Rachel Krause, to get off the case too, and they want 2 prosecutors to get off the case. So this is like you told me, drama upon drama upon drama.
Yes.
This is, I know you're a very experienced trial attorney. How unusual is this?
This is something that you don't see every day, if ever. We are watching a historic thing happen, especially here in Fulton County. We've never seen anything like this. Just reading parts of the 200-page motion that Mr. Steele filed, it just goes into detail of just how unprecedented this is. So I think that, people are going to study this for years to come and say, wow, we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, so we were talking about years to come, but I mean, I feel like saying it could be years to come before we see the end of this trial at the rate that we're going, because this has already been a historically long trial. The jury selection took about a year, right?
That's true.
Am I wrong on that?
And you're going down the right path.
And now, now the trial is delay after delay after delay, and the whole thing's been put on hold because there has to be this determination made about whether Mr. Glanville, or I should say the Honorable Judge Earl Glanville, his honor, whether he should be removed from the case, whether the judge overseeing that should be removed from the case, and whether the 2 prosecutors should be removed from the case. So the whole thing is like delay, delay, delay again.
That's correct. And I think it's going to cast a kind of a dark cloud over the district attorney's office, because we're looking at something that, again, is unprecedented. She's already had to fight the firestorm of dealing with the Donald Trump case, which we're all very well aware of. And now she's looking at what has been, for the past year and some change, a chance to just blow it up, have a mistrial declared, and have to determine whether or not she wants to start again.
Okay, so, the headline here, and I actually wrote that headline, Young Thug's attorney moves to free rapper, and that's part of it. That's part of what we're talking
I don't think people are taking into account that this is Fani Willis's doing. Like, this is Fani's problem and such like that. And I mean, he kind of touched on it. I know he has a shortened segment, so he can't go on long-winded. But this is another instance where Fani Willis's team does not come across looking professional. And, I did the video about her being sued for Freedom of Information Act. And actually, this is multiple times. She's been sued several times for freedom of information. Then, of course, the information that we got during the disqualification hearing, it does not look good for her at all. But let's go.
About as well, moves to remove the judge in charge of the recusal decision. So in terms of freeing Jeffrey Williams, is the argument for that based on delay, or what is the argument for freeing Mr. Williams?
Well, the limited amount of dealings I've had with Attorney Steele, he's more of a very substantive attorney. He looks at what is in front of him and he makes the best decision based on those facts. And the facts that have been given to him point to there being some constitutional protections being violated for Mr. Williams. Now, people may have their ideas about the innocence or guilt of a defendant at any given time, but in this country, we have these constitutional protections that we have to fight for. And by calling out the fact that a lot of these are being violated, in Mr. Steele's eyes, it just brings up this whole question of whether or not he'll be able to get his client free.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so part of the argument for removing, like I said, Mr. Steele, the attorney for Young Thug, he's called for Judge Rachel Krause to recuse herself from deciding if Judge Glanville should stay on the case. And what he's pointing to is the fact that Mr. Glanville, the Honorable Judge Glanville, contributed $2,000 to the Honorable Judge Krause's re-election campaign, according to this motion, and did that in April of this year, so pretty recently. Is that typically a reason to remove a judge from, overseeing what is typically, the recusal of another judge, which actually isn't really a typical thing either. So as I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, okay, this isn't typical.
Right. So I would go on to say that a lot of us attorneys, we do donate to each other's campaigns.
Okay.
Well, not each other, but, judges' campaigns, things of that nature. It's not atypical to have a judge donate to another's campaign. However, he is grasping upon this and saying, because you donated, therefore I am expecting almost a quid pro quo by you saying that I am able to stay on this case.
Gotcha.
And in fact, he wants to keep any chance of there being any impropriety seen or even thought of by saying, okay, we need another judge to determine whether or not Judge Glanville should recuse himself.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I understand the arguments for removing the two prosecutors. So the defense wants to have two of the prosecutors, Adrian Love and Simone Hilton, their two top prosecutors, to be disqualified from the case. I'm not sure if I understand what the reasoning is for that.
So I've talked to various attorneys. Two attorneys that come into mind are Lamar Gardner and Julius Collins, and we have talked about this many times. We have determined that these two attorneys are almost inserting themselves into the case by engaging in this conduct that is alleged to have been improper. Now, if they have inserted themselves into the case, they are in fact material witnesses, because the allegation is that due to their actions, the witness, Mr. YSL Woody, they're determining that their actions actually influenced him to testify when he wasn't going to testify. So Mr. Steele's motion says that by them doing their improper, influence on Mr. Woody, then that leads us to determine that they are actual, in fact, witnesses, because their actions shouldn't have been done. And
okay, real quick, I think this gentleman right here is a fantastic, clear mind. So I'm not being mean at all like that. But sometimes the wrangling that we do to try to be middle of the road, Brian Steele said it. Brian Steele said that they coerced YSL Woody, Little Woody, into testifying. I don't know why it's bad or wrong to just state what Brian Steele said, because it seems like he's trying to parse words and it comes across as unsure when Brian Steele said that. That's what Steele said. So if that be the case, then just say what Steele said, and you can say Brian Steele said XYZ ABC, because it does seem, again, it comes across unsure. That's just my little pushback. Sorry.
He wants to have a direct examination of whether or not they actually engaged in any improper actions to lead Mr. YSL Woody to testify.
So talking about this issue of Judge Glanville, whether he should recuse himself or not, that underlying issue, what do you think? Should he recuse himself? I remember that the defense asked him to recuse himself, and he said no, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so then there was a motion filed and, brought it up the flagpole, and so now you got this other judge deciding on this issue. Do you think that Judge Glanville should recuse himself?
So, having practiced, I believe anytime we have a defendant and it seems like, things are a bit one-sided, of course we're going to ask for a recusal. But objectively speaking, there are a lot of issues that one could point at and say, yeah, we do need this judge to go ahead and recuse himself, if not for his own self-preservation, but to just make sure that we continue to have fair trials here in the state of Georgia.
So I want to ask you, do you think that this is really do you think that there is a very strong concern about the fairness of this judge, or do you really think this is basically misdirection, that the defense is trying to create a whole sideshow so you focus over there instead of on the accusations against the defendants?
I have seen some attorneys who do engage in sideshows. I've seen it very recently, but particularly with Mr. Steele, I don't think he's the type of attorney to engage in sideshows. He is one who is very well versed in the law. He mentors a lot of individuals, as evidenced by all the attorneys that showed up when he was held in contempt. He is someone who knows it, knows the law very well. So I think that this is more of Mr. Steele having a passion for the law and determining, hey, something is not right. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs that it's not right. And now, with no other avenues to kind of pursue, I have to go to a higher court and see if we can get a recusal and have that affirmed by this higher court.
Okay, I want to point out something here. I think his answer is perfect. The only thing I will push back on, and again, I have no beef with Mr. Shipp. I think he's a great attorney. He's definitely making it very clear. But I like to try to, again, as a elementary school teacher, you try to make things really basic. Please keep in mind the things that are happening right now actually were done by the prosecution and the judge. It's not like I'm trying to concoct it out of thin air or try to make something there that wasn't there. These are things that were actually done that were wrong. If I said, ADA Love and Hilton rode to the courthouse together in the same car, we need to get them recused, we need to get them thrown out. Well, that's silliness. That is something I made up. If I said, well, Judge Glanville has an earring in his ear and therefore he can't be a good judge, so we got to throw him out. That's something I made up. That doesn't make sense. But these are things that they actually did that were actually wrong. There's the things that they did that were wrong. And therein is the problem. So it's not just a razzle dazzle. If you ever saw, was it Chicago, when Richard Gere was that shady lawyer? He said, give him the old razzle dazzle. This is not a razzle dazzle. This is something that they did that was actually wrong. It was actually a problem, and it creates an odor of mendacity, a dark cloud, all those kind of words that we've been using and making fun of. So I don't think it's just a bait and switch or, some kind of sideshow or anything of that nature. These are actual things that they did. And I think that's something we got to keep in mind. Okay, let's finish this up, Jason.
Okay, so, the first time around, I'm saying the first time around because potentially this jury selection could happen again, right?
Right.
First time around, it was really hard to select a jury. And part of the reason is because this is a really high profile case. People knew about it. People had preconceived notions about it. And the object is to find an unbiased jury of peers, right?
Correct.
So now that's going to be, multiplied exponentially because this has been all over the media because the trial's now underway and the jury is supposed to, not pay attention to what's happening in the media, which, of course, many question whether that's actually happening. But this has gotten so much more media attention since the trial has begun, and there's all this controversy surrounding the judge, and then the judge deciding upon the judge, and all of that. So, if this does happen again, I just can't imagine how challenging it's going to be to seat a jury if there's a mistrial.
I think that there is going to be a lot of questions in that district attorney's office on whether or not they want to even go back and try it again, or if they are willing to come to the negotiating table and say, okay, here's what our plea offer is, and let's try to negotiate this so the taxpayers don't have to pay for another trial again that may take 3 to 5 years. We're on very well deep into year 2, and there's no end in sight. So again, there's going to be a lot of questions in that office on what is going to be our next move, other than trying to try this case all over again.
And that's why I often do wonder if this was sort of manufactured as kind of a delay, a distraction, so that essentially we're in a situation where there potentially could be a mistrial, and this trial may have to start over again. And that would be favorable to the defense because, like you said, that kind of puts the prosecution, the state, in a situation where they look, we're already 2 years in. Do we want to go for another 3 years potentially?
True. I think the difference between manufactured outrage, quote unquote, and this is a lot of the manufactured issues that we've seen recently. They really had no basis in anything in law.
There we go. Yes.
Anything in fact. There were some salacious allegations against the district attorney's office that did play a sideshow to the case that was at hand. However, there are no salacious allegations in this. This is pretty much fact, and the transcript proves it. And the law that goes along with this is very clear. Ex parte communications, you have to have all essential parties there. So I don't think that it would be a sideshow as much as it's an attorney who's very passionate about the law and how it should be interpreted, going for everything to make sure that his client gets a fair trial.
Any final thoughts on this?
I wish the best to those jurors, and hang in there, guys.
Yeah, hang in there, guys. Hang in there. It's funny. He sends a shout out to the jurors. I just thought that was interesting. His final note was to the jurors, not to the lawyers or to the judge or clerk or court reporter. It was to the jurors. I just thought that was interesting because the jurors should not be paying attention to this, Mr. Shipp. They should not be watching TV. They should not be on social media. They should not be going to church or to the grocery store. They should be clustered up in their rooms, just waiting for the call to come back and be a juror. That's it. I say that tongue in cheek. Man, there's been some great conversations in here. All right, let's see what we got going on. But before I do that, I want to say thank you again to Terry for the super sticker. Thank you so much for supporting what we're doing over here at DWC. I thank you very, very much. Okay, let's look at these comments because there's been some good back and forth. I think there's something going on here with a couple of law students or legal experts, legal minds, if you will, in the building. So let's see what we got. All right. Okay. And Black law student said, why are people giving Woody a platform? He's the sole reason Young Thug is in jail. He is a known murderer and liar. Steele said it in his opening statement. Steele said this in his opening statement. I mean, you're right. I think, like I said before, I think Woody should stay off of social media, in my opinion. I think he should steer clear of it. But let's see what else we got. DWC, that's the one when ADA Love was accusing Brian Steele of tampering with the USB drive. Absolutely. With the jail calls. Yeah, she was just yelling at him she accused them of it. And then Judge Glanville proceeded to yell at him and scold him about it. And it was wild. But what does I'm her say? She says, we don't hold Miss Love at high regard. She's very unprofessional and ghetto. I'm trying to like her because I've heard people say that, she's not really like that. But I'm saying the way she presents herself on camera, what she's presenting to us does come across like that. So I agree with her 100%. 100%. Black law student says, I wrote last night a mock response to Steele's motion for fun, and I think it's better than Love's. If you wrote in the right font, according to Cadillac law, then you're already doing better than her. She talks so bad about that font. But, apparently there's a little dialogue about going back and forth about that. So we might have to give you a chance to hear that. This case will change the way the federal RICO Act is tried in state courts. I personally don't think RICO should be tried by states or counties. It should be by feds only, in my opinion, because of this. I think that's what's going to end up happening. You're not going to be able to have, local municipalities and counties throwing RICOs at people. Because again, Fulton County has thrown 3 RICOs, 3 very large RICOs at people. And this is the Atlanta cheating scandal, the Trump interference case, and now YSL. Maybe, I'm not saying that they're doing it wrong. I'm just saying maybe, just maybe, this needs to be a federal situation. Just my 2 cents. What else? They gave Trump bond on RICO, but they don't give the young thug bond. I mean, he's not lying. He's right. Okay, and what is Project Band shirt says? I was just wondering if a mistrial is granted, will the defendants be granted bond? If a mistrial is granted, they're released. If I'm not mistaken, they should be released. They're not going to be held in there indefinitely. They have to start over again at a mistrial. Well, I'm sorry. If the mistrial is granted without prejudice, they can get another bite at the apple. If it's granted with prejudice, kind of like Alec Baldwin, then that's it. It's over. They can't be tried again or even brought up again on those charges. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. Law students in the building. In law school, they say it doesn't pass a sniff test. And I agree with you there. I agree 100%. All right, real quick, make sure I didn't miss any other good family reunion. There was some kind of dialogue about battle raps between writing responses to love and to steal. I don't know if this was fake news or what. I might have read it incorrectly. Okay, so Montana says, Project Shirt, you're absolutely correct. What did I miss? All right, let me see. I think I might have missed it. I hope I didn't. This DA's office is making a lot of errors, and it does come across like they don't know what they're doing. Because this is the same DA's office that had somebody, if I'm not mistaken, in this case, an investigator was trying to hit on a witness to take her out on a date. I did a video about that one too. And then of course, Fulton County needs to lay low and just work on Fulton County, because at this moment, they do not come across as professional at all. Wait, what did I say? Yeah, I do think that Silent Sniper said to Blue Sky, they just thought everyone would fold with these tactics. I do think that they just thought people were just going to be like, oh, you said it. It's true. It's over. Let's go. Brian Steele wasn't having that. And I think others weren't having it as well. I think Brian Steele is just the face of people that are not having it. And I think you're right, though, 100%. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the comment. Absolutely. No question at all. Yeah, the jurors have been abused. Free the jurors, man. Put in the chat, free the jury. Okay, just free the jury. I mean, if nothing else, they've been compromised. I know they're going to poll them. If this ever did come back, they would have to poll them to see what they've heard. Have they been engaged in it? I'm sure there's no way you can get me to believe that 18 people have not been involved some way, shape, or form in what's been happening, even if they've just been reading up on it. You just can't get me to believe that they didn't do that. There's no way. And that's the thing, Terry. Fonnie's office has become a laughingstock. Like, who's going to look at it as being serious when every time you bring up a case, you end up getting shot down for various and sundry things? Now, the young man that we just listened to, he kind of threw a little bit of shade on that disqualification hearing, which is true. I do think in light of where we are today, I think the young thug recusal versus the disqualification going on in the Trump trial, I think this one has much more weight. The young thug one has much more weight to it than the disqualification. However, I still think that it's bad look either way. I still think that they should be disqualified for that alone. But I do think there's much more weight on this case, the young thug case. One, because there's literal lives hanging in the balance. There are men that are locked up in jail that don't have freedom. They have not been given bond during this trial. So while we're over wrangling and talking about it, those men are in jail. Nobody's in jail during a disqualification hearing. So the weight of it, I think, has a little bit less. It doesn't have as much weight to it as the other way around. And I think there's a lot more at stake in this regard in the young thug case, because we're talking about somebody's literal lives being put in jail. And Fulton County Jail is not a good place to be. So I do think that there's a little bit of difference. There's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well. Who's Fonnie Willis's boss? The people of Fulton County and the Fulton County Commission. And they're just about as dysfunctional as today is Friday. So I don't think that he might be on the commission. I've watched some of the commission meetings. It is very possible he could be on the commission. That is true. Y'all are wild, man. Y'all are wild. All right. Let's see. The key word for mistrial in Georgia, with prejudice in Georgia is the word goaded. Steele used the word a lot because that's the key word for mistrial with prejudice. Interesting. Okay. Is it goaded or goated? I think it's goaded. But I got your point. Totally got you. Interesting. Okay. Because I noticed he did use it a lot, but I thought it was maybe a legalese that he had to use. But now I know why he used it. Okay, I got you. Thank you. Man, don't even get me started with this. Blue Sky says, doesn't Fulton County have a backlog with indictments? It depends on what day of the week. Fonnie Willis will say that she's done away with the backlog. I have a video of her saying that she did away with the backlog. And then on the same breath, I have a video of her going to the Fulton County Commission, begging for more money to deal with the backlog. I don't know what's going on, but I do know this. This is a known fact. There are several, because she's being sued for this. There are several men in the Fulton County Jail. Let me say men and women. I don't know if it's only men, but there's several individuals in the Fulton County Jail, better than 200, that are in that jail that have not been indicted, that have not been convicted, and have not been tried. They're just in jail. And that's on Fonnie Willis. That is on Fonnie Willis. That's why I even went as far to say the young lady that is running against Fonnie Willis in Fulton County should do a press conference outside of the Fulton County Jail. That would be very, very powerful, because there's lots of men and women, and the likelihood is that they're of the high melanin content. They're probably black men and women that are in that jail, those 200 that have not been tried, not convicted, that are being held hostage, for lack of a better term. And I mean, that would be powerful, because Fonnie has done nothing to resolve that. All right, let's see. Oh, it's all good. Law student, it is all good. See, that's the other thing. See, and they make it sound as if it's just a defense that is trying to delay, when on the front end, it was, remember, this is a 9-year trial. Hold on one second. I'm going to sneeze. I'm back. Wow, that was a sneeze. Okay. But remember, like, this crime has been going on. This crime was committed back in like 2015, and they were arrested in 2022, I think it was 21-ish, somewhere around there. So, and of course, they've been wrangling ever since. So I don't know what it takes to be a speedy trial in that regard, but I agree with your question though. Grace, I'm not going to talk about Fonnie right now, or I'll lose my testimony. Blue Sky's at least 30,000 backlogged. And that number always fluctuates. It just depends on what day of the week it is. I mean, it's been crazy. So Black Law Student says the legal term goad means to force or urge someone to do something. For example, the threat of legal action should goad them into complying. So is it fair to say that they goaded Little Woody to testify when he did not want to testify? I think goading is present and accounted for here. But yeah. All right, they're just sitting there. They're just chilling. They're just there chilling. I don't know if chilling is the right word, but they're there for sure. Thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate you. Lots of good conversation going on, and I always appreciate that. And I appreciate you all interacting with one another when you come in and you hit that like button, because it looks like about 73 of y'all have hit that like button, which is super dope. There's about 138 of y'all in the chat. So there's about 60 of y'all that have not found that like button, but it's okay. You can still be a part of the best live chat. All you got to do is hit the like button. That's it. And if you don't like this type of content, you hit the like button 3 times and it sort of kind of does the same thing, but you got my point. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, I don't know what Courtney Kramer's strategy is. I would love to hear what the strategy is, but we will see. The state of Georgia can put you in jail without proof, so you have to wait till a grand jury indicts you, and you can sit in Fulton County Jail. That's what they're doing. That's how we do it in Georgia, apparently. See, and even black law students says yes, they goaded them. They goated them. They're the GOAT. I don't know how that's going to work out, man. It's sad to see. I just want, if the gentleman did the wrong things, if they did commit these crimes, then just let them be tried properly. No shenanigans, hijinks, or anything like that. Just go ahead and try them properly and let the chips fall where they may. But it just seems like more and more, day upon day, they got us cheering and rooting for the possible criminals because they're acting like criminals approve it. Like, don't be a criminal to prove that these people are criminals. Do the right thing, and then we'll move from there. My little 2 cents. Tasha, don't worry about it. It was good to have you. Nonetheless, good to have you. Plead the fifth. What's Costa Chameleon need to plead the fifth about? Probably something. I can get it. Wow, thank you so much. Black Law Student says this is the best YouTube channel. I appreciate it. Hopefully you all are getting value. My goal and aim is to give you social and political commentary from a Christian male perspective and help you see how I see these situations. And we're all learning together. So I'm glad that you all found it. I'm glad that you're checking it out, and I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. And this is a conversation, Erica, that I think we should have a lot more. And I did a video recently about disposable black men, because really, in my opinion, Fonnie Willis is my 2 cents. My name is Jason, dearwokesy@gmail.com. I feel like Fonnie Willis is using Young Thug as a stepping stone for her next career move. And nobody cares, though. Nobody cares about these guys because they're thugs. They got dreadlocks. They got tattoos on their faces. They make rap music that nobody knows what they're talking about. They don't have value to many people. And she's using these non-valuable people as stepping stones to her next, in my opinion, her next career move. And to me, again, I don't know much about Young Thug outside of this case. I didn't know his name was Jeffrey Williams. I for sure didn't know he lived here in Atlanta. But I can see that this man is disposable to them. Like, he doesn't have value. And to me, that's a shame. That's a shame, because that is what brings about the Little Woodies. If you've seen Little Woody, you realize this guy has not had a lot of good influence in his life. And it's sad because he probably is a decent guy. I mean, I can tell you one thing, the guy's hilarious. I mean, he could, if he had mentoring, if he had some people around him, he could probably be a pretty decent YouTuber. I'll go as far as say he probably would be crushing it. He just doesn't have anybody around him. But I think this is my 2 cents, because I'm going to get in trouble for this. I thought it was very interesting that everybody who's trying to throw Young Thug and the other defendants in the trash are black women. And everybody who's trying to defend Young Thug and his other indictees and keep them from being thrown in the trash, AKA jail, are white men. That's weird. That's such a weird dichotomy. But I'm just going to say it. I'm staying on that. I don't think it's it's happenstance that they're using men that look disposable. Again, I'm not a dread. I don't know what Young Thug sang about. He was parading around in a dress a couple years ago. He's not somebody I would defend on any other circumstance. But here in this situation right here, I'm like, he still has value. He still is a human that we must treat with value. You can't just say, oh, well, he's Young Thug. It don't matter if I lie on him. Oh, it's Young Thug and he's got dreadlocks and got tattoos on his face. So therefore it don't matter if I do some shenanigans to get him thrown in jail. No, it does matter. Just like it would matter if he was not a thug. It would matter just as much. And in my opinion, I feel like they're using this as a stepping stone to get them to get to where they want to go. And my indicator, because I could be wrong. My name is Jason, and I've been wrong before. Lord knows I'll be wrong again. This is how you'll know. Follow where Fonnie Willis goes next. And is this going to be that stone to move her up there? That's it. Let's just say the Young Thug gets thrown in jail. Let's say everything keeps going like it should, like they intended, and Young Thug gets thrown in jail for 100,000 million years, right? Where does she go next? That'll tell you what this case was about. But let's say again, Young Thug, this whole thing gets scuttled. It's already taking on water and the lower decks are already full. It sinks and nothing happens and Young Thug gets out. Where does Fonnie Willis go next? It'll tell you that. That's my indicator. Play Young Thug. Wait, what did you say? Oh, you play Young Thug music at your, oh my gosh. Okay. I can't say that I've done that before. When I got married, Young Thug was probably not even a born thug. How about that? Yeah, it's probably fair. Young Thug was probably like a thug in kindergarten when I got married. So no, we didn't play Young Thug music at my wedding. That's wild. Exactly. The black women are being used and we lost ourselves in thinking we are better when we obtain education, positions of power. I mean, this could be a conversation with the highly melanated. And I really think we should have this discussion because in some regards, in some instances, black men are disposable in some of these regards. And it's not just, this terrible case with Young Thug. I mean, you can look at Ebony K. Williams. The man is disposable. He has no value to her, no value whatsoever. This is a young socialite, lawyer who chose to be a single mom and got in vitro fertilization so she could be pregnant. And she's going to have a daughter. I have 2 daughters. And it's a wicked idea that her daughter is going to be raised without a dad just because her mom chose to do that. Not by any, happenstance, not because of, crime or anything of that nature, just because her mom said no man was good enough for her, but she wanted to have a child. That's crazy. Men are disposable in some instances. Okay, just want to get that off my chest. I'm here to cause a fight. DearWokesy@gmail.com. Oh, black law students about to get me. What do you say? Thank you so much for the super chat. The $5 super chat says this. The funny thing is Woody is the reason case exists, and the reason it's falling apart. Facts. Double facts. This is a career move for Love. Also, she failed her DA race. Double facts. All the facts. I don't know how many more. Facts on facts about facts. Amen. I mean, literally, this whole thing's hinged on Woody, and he's cratered it for them. And the reason everybody's at home is because of Woody. But the reason they were there is because of Woody. Great point. Great call out, black law student. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. What does Grace say? DWC. This is where we as believers need to get involved in being in the correctional facilities and mentor youth before they end up like these young men and their lives matter. Okay, watch this. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to actually say, if Fonnie Willis had done what she was supposed to do, and people don't realize that gang prevention center, you know what? I'm going to go down there one day. I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I keep kicking the can. I need to go down there. The gang prevention center that was going to be put in play under Paul Howard, the original DA, the DA before Fonnie, there was a gang prevention center, which is basically like a for lack of a better term, a trade school. that was focusing on a very high crime area that was teaching skills like welding and woodworking, wrench turning skills. That type of facility, because the building was donated to Fulton County. All they had to do was they received the money, the grant money. They just never used it in that regard where it's supposed to be. That's what happened with Amanda Timpson when she was over that department and the grant that was supposed to be doing that. And she got, Fonnie scuttled the gang prevention unit and then started trying to use the money in a different way. And when Amanda Timpson said, hey, you can't use it like that, she fired Amanda and started prosecuting her or harassing her, let me say it like that. But back to the point, if it's something simple as just teaching skills and life skills before they even get into there, there's so many ways to skin this cat. There's so many ways that you can be, that Christians and communities can be involved in making sure that they don't fall victim to the gang life, the drug life, the lesser than life that can just pervade their community. There's a lot that can be done. So yes, absolutely be involved in the correctional facility, but you can be involved in your schools. You can be involved in your local communities that can do so much to help. Again, I'm a former school teacher here in the city of Atlanta. I know there's a lot of gaps. There's big old holes in the system that a church, a group of believers, a business can really come in and help and will resolve a lot of issues. Well, let me say this. Will stymie. They won't stop everything, but definitely will help them out a lot. All right. Let's see what we got here. If Fonnie Willis tried to get to DC, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this was supposed to be her ride to DC, the interference case and the Young Thug case. I personally think they were supposed to go, this would have been her ticket to DC, assuming everything goes like they intended it to go in November, coming up in November. I do think this would have been her ticket to DC, in my opinion. All right. I see some good conversation. Oh, Terry coming out with the swinging. Margaret Sanger made black men disposable. Yeah, you did. But see, Margaret Sanger's sins were multi-ethnic. She was an equal opportunity offender. She hated all minority groups. So she wanted everybody. I'm here to cause trouble today. All right, what else we got here? Lots of good. I love the dialogue back and forth. So I'm just going through to see if there's anything directed toward me specifically. I see some fantastic conversation. What's going on, Present Not Perfect? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for the $5 super chat. What does my brother say? Glanville made a statement about Woody that shows that he thinks that Woody is disposable. He did. Well, they all have. When the infamous FU email that Melnick sent to Adrian Love, and he said, when you think that I'm out for anybody else but my client, that showed again, like they didn't care. They did not care about Woody. Woody is disposable. And that's really why I think Woody should kind of lay low off of social media. Maybe spend a little bit of time quiet. There's a lot of things he could be doing that are not on camera, that are not the drug game, that could help him, establish himself and such of that nature. But I do think that he's disposable to, he's definitely disposable to the prosecution. I think he's disposable to Glanville. At the end of the day, we just want your testimony. Whatever happens to you because of your testimony, we don't care. Oh, man, Black law student. This is why elections matter. Someone voted Fonnie and Glanville into office, and someone didn't vote to get Fonnie and Glanville in office. There you go. I like how you did that. That's a very well stated point. Thank you. And Erica says the problem is we don't care unless things affect us, and that's why these problems are not fully utilized. These programs, I apologize, are not fully utilized. I agree. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I'm traipsing down to Atlanta every day or every weekend for that matter. What I will say, however, is that there are lots of good opportunities in the city of Atlanta and here where I live in Cobb County to bring some kind of resolve to some of these issues without having to allow the shenanigans and hijinks just to run amok. I'm sorry. There's just more ways to skin that cat. So that's my little 2 cents there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, reach them before they need to be rescued. Again, I've worked in the city of Atlanta as a teacher. I can tell you right now, there are so many gaps in just the education system alone. If people just coordinated together, you know what? The 3 churches on the corner, all the deacons get together and they work together to systematically support the school that feeds that feeds that community, you would see some humongous changes. Doing something to help men remain a part of their family and help them plan financially to stay with the woman that they had children with. I mean, it would be huge. So the government is not a come up. The government should be a letdown. But again, just my little 2 cents. I'm here to cause some problems. Yeah. And Paula just says that, finally use that money for computers and swag and trips. Ashley Merchant called her out about this at the Georgia State hearing that she testified in. And you are correct. You're 100% correct. And Amanda Timpson did the exact same thing like 2 or 3 weeks later, where she came in with her attorney, Mario Williams, to discuss that with the Fulton County, the Georgia State Commission about that matter. All right, lots of good conversation back and forth. Oh, what's going on? Sarah, always good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Second and third what? Kimberly Griswold. I taught first and second, if that's what you're talking about. I did teach a year. I did teach a year of third grade. I forgot about that. It was traumatic. I like first and second grade. All right, lots of good conversation, lots of good family reunion back and forth. What you mean? I don't know what you mean, Prince. I don't know what you mean. Lots of good conversation back and forth. Of course, Mandy. Hopefully you got my email, Mandy. All right, what do we have here? Lots of good back and forth. And do what Texan said. Make sure you smash that like button. I appreciate it. If you like this type of content, please make sure you hit the like button. But y'all, I thank y'all. This has been a lot of fun. So we did start out looking at that Alec Baldwin case because it literally happened right before I hit live. So that was wild. So Alec Baldwin's case was brought to a mistrial with prejudice. So they can't bring it back because of evidence. The prosecution had gotten some evidence that didn't share it with the defense. Go figure, right? Then we looked at the Trump sentencing, and that sentencing is being moved all the way to September. I don't see where that's going. I have no idea where that's going to go. You know what, Kimberly? I think I remember that now. No, sir. Glanville speaking on Woody as casualties. I think he called them collateral damage or something of that nature. But yes, I do remember that. And then we looked at this YSL summary just to kind of get a lay of the land, because who knows what's going to happen next week. I really thought they were going to come out with some Friday evening surprise right before everybody went home, but they didn't. So that means it's going to probably be Monday or Tuesday next week. But then we got the RNC next week. So that's going to be wild. This news cycle is bananas. If anybody had these things on their 2024 bingo board, I will be very surprised, because like Cat Williams said, 2024 is going to be the year of, what do you call it? the year that of unraveling, or the year unveiling or something. I don't know if he meant what he said when he said it, but my goodness, in the morning, 2024 has been nonstop. And please remember, we got 5 months left, and we still got 2 political conventions. We have a little tiny election coming up in November. We got a lot of stuff still going on. We got still, and this is just here in Georgia that I'm looking at. So we still got the disqualification hearing, wherever that's going to land. We got the Young Thug case, wherever that's going to land. And then there's countless around the nation. There's so many other little cases and other little things going on. Man, there's a lot. There is a lot happening right now. And man, this is absolutely wild time to be on social media and be doing this type of content. Okay, I agree with this. And I think, did you say this yesterday, Black law student? I feel like I saw this yesterday. And if not, then I'm having like deja vu. This is my only problem with that. This is my only problem, is the last sentence. This will save Krause's career. I want people to do something that will potentially ruin their career. That's what I want. Because then there's no more game playing. Because see, if this happens, is what you said, what a Black law student says, I think the judge will deny the motion, and then the thing closes out, right? All right, so this is what I think the judge will deny the motion, but will grant immediate review. It will be appeals court, will grant a mistrial. If you believe that it's a mistrial right here, if Judge Cross believes it's a mistrial, then go ahead and do it right now. Don't do all these other shenanigans, sending it to appeals and so on and so forth. Just do the right thing right now. If the right thing right now is for, what's her name, Rachel Krause, for Judge Cross to declare it a mistrial and recuse Glanville right now, then just do it. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. That's it. In my mind, just do the right thing. We've seen too many people do what's politically expedient, was career-saving expedient, and then let the chips fall where they may. If it comes back on her, then that be what it is. But it shows that she did the right thing, and it shows that the person that came back on her was dirty anyway. But if you don't do it and you let somebody else, the appellate court, it doesn't prove that he was dirty. And it just saves your career. That's just my little 2 cents. I'm not saying that it's right, but I think after watching McAfee do what was politically expedient, I think we've seen countless other examples of people doing what's politically expedient. Though I don't disagree with you, this will probably be a great remedy to the problem. But will it be a great remedy to the problem? If Krause fell on her sword right now and did the right thing, how many people would say that she was dirty? How many people say that she was she took campaign donations? Nobody would, because everybody be like, yo, she did the right thing. Ooh wee. Somebody done brought, okay. Somebody talking about Morehouse. Y'all better stop, because I didn't even bring up to y'all that the president of Morehouse just stepped down. And I told y'all that was going to happen when he brought Joe Biden in there. I told y'all. But I digress. Let me stay back on where I was. So many people are saying, Cross is dirty and Cross got the campaign donation from him and this, that, and the other. But if she stood on her business, stood on her squares, people like to say, and such like that, 10 toes down, and did the right thing, nobody would have any problem. Nobody would say anything. They'd be like, yo, she did the right thing. She did the right thing. But if she kicks it down the road, everybody's going to think she's dirty. Everybody's going to think she's compromised. So moving forward into the future, the next time something comes up and it's Cross's name, everybody's going to remember she's the one that did the dirty thing. But if she does the right thing today and just kicks Glanville out and declares a mistrial, then she's done the right thing and she lets the chips fall where they may. If she gets knocked down to magistrate or jaywalking court, then let it be where it is. But she knows she did the right thing, and that's what I think is missing. That's my little 2 cents. So anyway, y'all remember that I was extremely perturbed with the fact that Joe Biden came to speak at Morehouse College in May. I thought it was a blight on my alma mater. It was a terrible thing that they did that. And I told y'all that the Alumni Association was extremely miffed about having Joe Biden come to Morehouse, and definitely torqued off about him. Well, I know I was torqued off about him getting an honorary degree from Morehouse. Joe Biden is not my Morehouse brother at all. I told y'all. Matter of fact, let me pull it up real quick. This is off the cuff. We weren't going to talk about this at all, but I should have saved it for Sunday, but now I don't know. I'll probably still be mad about it on Sunday, so we'll still talk about it. Let me pull it up real quick. All right, so because my alumni association has been going bananas. All right, can I download this real quick? Yeah, I'm going to download it. Oh, it's a long letter, too. My goodness. So, needless to say, Dr. Thomas is going to be stepping down from being president of Morehouse College. And because I think it's primarily because he was catching a lot of heat because of that, having Joe Biden speak at the school. And I don't think it went like they intended it to. From a support standpoint. And is this the right one? I think I done downloaded the thing about 9 times. Oh my goodness. All right. So real quick, I just want to show y'all this very quickly. I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I know I hear President's second born in there cooking. What is she cooking? All right, let's see. I should be able to drop it in here, let y'all read it with me. Anyway, Dr. Thomas is going to be stepping down from Morehouse. And I think it's probably the right thing to do. As much as I kind of liked him. I told y'all I liked Dr. Thomas. I thought he was I thought he was creative as a president, but one of the things that the alumni, I feel like, did not appreciate was the whole thing about Joe Biden coming during the whole brouhaha over what's going on in Israel and so forth. I mean, and this is just a short. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I write this to inform you. I decided to step down from presidency of Morehouse College effective June 30th, 2025. So he's going to be president all of next year, of course. And serving as president of this esteemed institution has been an honor of a lifetime, particularly during these years of exciting and challenging times. Over the past 7 years, we have had numerous opportunities to enhance the ability to fulfill our mission and the values that we have continued to develop leaders while promoting social justice, equity, access to opportunity, and peace. Together, we have met these challenges and seized opportunities. All right. So anyway, Dr. Thomas is going to be stepping down. I think it's going to be interesting because I didn't realize he had been there 7 years. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That kind of slipped past me. But yeah, so I think it's primarily because, again, the Alumni Association was not keen on, not only, I've heard other complaints as well, but I think the most staggering one was the issue with having Joe Biden come to speak and basically gave a political speech. If you watch my video on it, it was horrible. I ain't gonna even lie. And again, it's not because I don't support Joe Biden. It was not appropriate for a Morehouse College a Morehouse College alumni. I just keep saying alumni. Morehouse College graduation. It was not appropriate. It was totally inappropriate. What did Terry ask? Terry asked, DWC, do you think lots of backlash from students at Morehouse? I don't, sad to say, as watching the highly melanated make decisions, I'm gonna pick a fight here. My name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com. If you need me to, we can go fight at the Quick Trip or something like that if we need to. But it was sad to say, I think a lot of the pushback was because some of the things that we saw during that whole graduation season with the schools protesting and such like that, it comes from a situation where where that only happens in a time of opulence, in my opinion. It only happens because we really don't have anything to fight. We don't have anything to go to war about, anything of that nature. So therefore, we pick these live action role plays and we fight about something 9 time zones over. We're so upset about that, but we don't address things that are going on in our own communities. I literally walked around the Atlanta University Center and drove around the Atlanta University Center, showing you all in my video all of the despair, all of the hopelessness that's right there within a mile of Morehouse. But people are protesting. Literally during graduation, there was a mob of people protesting down Fair Street, protesting, literally walking down the street, protesting, stepping over homeless people to protest for something going on 9 time zones away. So you're more concerned about what's going on 9 time zones away, and you're not concerned about this man that is a drug addict, this man who's hopeless, this veteran who has no hope whatsoever. You're crossing over him, stepping over him to protest something going on 9 time zones away. I can't even deal with that. So needless to say, back around the point, I don't think there was a lot of student backlash because, again, right at the tail end of that, most people were gone anyway. Most students were gone. Only graduates were still hanging around campus. Remember when I did the video walk around campus, there's only graduates and seniors and graduates that were around campus. And so the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, they were already gone unless they were staying around to help with graduation. So I don't think there was much pushback. And so sad to say, it's out of sight, out of mind. Most of them went home. They got a summer job. They're doing summer school. They're working on getting themselves back at school, whatever like that. They're probably not going to come back worrying about this because, again, it's, in my opinion, live action role playing. It just gets people all up in a tizzy for a time in a season. But if they came back, if Morehouse came back protesting, I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised. Okay, let me see. All right, I think I got everybody in the chat. I appreciate all the back and forth. Yeah, if you have a question, comment, concern, you want to tell me how terrible a person I am or how myopic my thinking is, please don't hesitate to email me, dworksy@gmail.com. But please keep it short, though. Don't be writing me these big old long epistles because, man, goodness, in the morning. I had one this morning. I'm like, man, for real, my guy, you think I'm going to read that? Ain't nobody got time for that. No, lots of good back and forth. I love the conversations back and forth. I appreciate the conversation back and forth. But everybody, yeah, that was it. I did not plan on talking about Morehouse, but you know, I love my alma mater, so I'm gonna talk about it when I get an opportunity. But this Sunday, we will probably. I thought we were going to be talking about the Russ case, but maybe we'll just do a deep dive into that. But I do have some fun stuff planned for Sunday, 7 o'clock on our live conversation, kind of wrap up the week and get ready for another week of who knows what is going to happen. Who knows what? But I'll definitely be taking your questions as well. But everybody, I want to thank you again, each and every one of you. Looks like about 100 of y'all were in the chat. And I appreciate all 100 of y'all that have liked the video. And it was about 150 at one point that were watching. I really thank each and every one of y'all for that. Thank you so much for engaging in the content, liking, all that kind of stuff like that, asking your questions. It means a lot. It really does. And thank you so much for the super chats and the super stickers and all that kind of love. It does go a long way to help support what I'm doing here. And I really do appreciate it. So let's do this again, Lord willing, on Sunday. Tomorrow I got to go pick up President Firstborn from school. So she's been gone for a whole month. And matter of fact, tomorrow's her birthday. So I'm going to pick up my baby on her birthday, and that'll be fun. But I will be back, Lord willing, on Sunday. Everybody, thank you so much. And let's do it again real soon. Take care. Grace and peace. See you soon.